been a while, hasn't it? Well, welcome back. I'm still Master of Odds, and still nothing much has changed since the last time you saw me. So, today I'm gonna talk about the thing that holds a close place in my heart, and that is the adventure of Asterix and Obelix. Now, this comic book is actually a comic book series written by a Belgian called R. Ascorny and drawn by a Frenchman called A. Udurso. These two were friends and they decided to make a comic about some Frenchmen beating up some Romans. That sounds a bit far-fetched, I know, but I will get into it. But let's dive into the history of this comic. So, it was originally released in the middle of the 50s and in a French newspaper article, which actually gained lots of success. And then they decided to why not just make it into an official comic? So they did, and they made a lot of them. I mean, this is just one of them, and this is just a recover of the first book, which is called Asterix and the Gauls. And this is only but one of over 40 comics. Some are canon and some are not. They are just original stories that are just been written and published for fun. But what is this comic about? Well, it's about alright, let's get down to some history. We write 60 years before the birth of Christ. The Romans have conquered nearly all of Europe except one little village, which is the last outpost for the French. And this is where our main character, Asterix lives. Now, Asterix is often described as a medium-tall male with a blonde mustache and blonde pigtails. He often wears a helmet with two feathers in, as you can see on this front cover. And this is known as his best friend, Obelix, who is a guy that literally sells boulders. And you may think, how in the hell is he carrying a boulder? I'll get into that. Now, because these Gauls can keep away the Romans is via a magical drink or potion of some sort, which is made by a druid, a form of earlier priest, called Miraculix. Now, this potion is often described as a dark red substance, and when drunk, it will give everyone a supernatural power. Like, they can move faster, they can jump higher, they can lift harder and hit harder. Now, I might get back to how Obelix carries those boulders. Well, it is a running gag in this movie, in this comic books and movies, that Obelix fell into the pot of the potion when he was still a toddler, and that because he was kind of like flopping around it like a fucking boy, he was given supernatural strength for the rest of his life. Now, these comics have gained a lot of popularity, not only in France and the other parts of Europe, but also here in Denmark. Now, in Denmark, there are some comics that have gained a lot of traction back here. Like, for example, Basserne, The Adventures of Beetle, a form of military skit comic, and The Adventures of Tintin, a comic book series about a reporter who goes on wacky adventures with a captain and his dog. And it's kind of because Asterix is kind of, a thing you can easily go to and go from again. I mean, I remember the first thing I saw of Asterix was actually in the full Asterix 8 DVD set. Not to flex or anything, but there are a couple of movies that is made about this so-called franchise. Now, the first 8 ones were animated. Then there was two live action versions, and then a 3D animated version which was called in Danish Asterix and Obelix. Now, these movies are incredibly charming. I mean, the movies are drawn by the original creators. I mean, it's just a charming story and can always bring light to one's heart. I mean, it's just a good comic in my opinion. I mean, now I have a dad who has been obsessed with these. And he was the one who introduced me to them and is actually the owner of these two, which are the two first comics. Now, he is wishing for more on his birthday that's coming very shortly, but yeah, until now, he only has two of them, a complete DVD set, and the live-action movie, and that 3D animated movie, which is do not own, but we can watch on Netflix. Now, Asterix and Obelix isn't just a comic, it's also a giant franchise of different kinds of merchandise. I mean, still, you can buy comics, you can buy figurines. I remember when we were in Copenhagen, there is a shop which is known as Faro Cigar, which is a haven for people like me. I mean, they have comics, manga, board games, card games, some places even role-playing games, cosplay, and vintage merchandise. Now, I saw that they had like a former diorama of one of the scenes in the movies, which is Asterix and the Brits, where it's like a form of rugby pitch at this length, and it costed, hold on to your hats and glasses, because this is gonna be wild, 20,000 Danish crowns. And me and my dad was thinking, who in their right mind will throw about fifth of a decent hatchback away? I mean, a old hatchback from the early 10s can you easily grab for like 100,000. But 20,000? We were then jokingly repeated that joke because it was just as absurd. I mean, that just goes to show how dedicated the Asterix fan base really is. And I mean, I'm one of them. I'll not say I'm a huge mega fan, but I still love it. I mean, some people in France even thought they'd make a theme park. I mean, there is a fucking theme park which is called Parc d'Asterix in France, which is about 30 kilometers south of Paris. I mean, but to conclude, is this a good comic series? Yes, I really think that, because, well, it has some good written characters, a good written story, and a lot of actual funny moments. I mean, it takes place, well, 60 years before Christ, and it likes to make fun of that. And some of the names of the Romans are fucking hilarious. I mean, of course, we have the ruler of Rome at the time, Julius Caesar. But I remember distinctly that a character in this series is called Psychopathius. Literally, psychopath. And I fucking loved it. I mean, I just really love this franchise. And I think if you get the chance, fucking read it. If it's only like the fifth of the comic series, it's still easily to go to, because every storyline has a beginning and the plot continues until the end. You can actually read them in non-canonical order. I mean, they probably think somewhere in this universe there's a probably like MatPat type. No offense to MatPat, that has probably made like a 55 episodes of breaking down the Asterix lore. Haha, that's a FNAF joke for all of you. So, anyways, this was just a quick video to get back into these, like, talking about things, and I think there won't be any videos next week because then I'll go to vacation again. But if you're lucky, that'll be in 2 weeks. So, that was all from me. I'm still Master of Oz. And please remember, like, subscribe, and stay beautiful.